What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I wanted to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happened to the market thus far, and what you should be watching for as time progresses, and what big events are going to be coming out later today to really shake these markets. But before I break into this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's talk about what's going on with the market. Looking at SPY, this thing had a big hit after Jerome Powell gave his speech. We were talking about a little rebound that could be coming, followed by more potential downside. There is a risk of more downside coming, but the market's trying to rebound first. We're going to be watching this resistance to see how we end up responding. SPY right now is about to be testing the 5 minutes 200 EMA. We'll see if this breaks or not. If we do break this, we could try to push a little higher. If we fail to do so, then watch out for another big rejection. So be very careful at that resistance. But for now, I want to talk about another factor that's going to affect the markets and what's going on with the news so far. So right now, stocks are trying to bounce back after what Jerome Powell was talking about. But we have to watch our key resistance, as mentioned earlier. Jerome Powell is also saying that the Fed will likely not raise rates, or I'm sorry, cut rates in March, which was very disappointing amongst investors. This is once again very important because this is changing the view of the markets and the potential confidence in how things are going to pan out. And the Fed is implying that they may have to keep rates up higher for longer than anticipated. So that's very important. On top of this, it's a very big day. We have tech earnings day with Apple, Amazon, and Meta all announcing their earnings after market close. And besides that, there are other things going on involving sports, as we're going to see a very important strategic sports group announcing that it's going to invest about $3 billion into the PGA Tour with an initial investment of $1.5 billion. So that's a big development so far. People who are interested in that. What else is going on is we had the initial jobless claims a little bit higher than expected for today. And now later on, as the days go on, 15 minutes after market open, we have the global manufacturing PMI report, very minor. And then the last main time to be watching that will be 10 o'clock a.m. We have the ISM manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing employment, construction spending, and then manufacturing new orders all coming out. New orders is going to be very important because it's going to be very forward looking for inflationary data. So we'll see if the new orders are above expectations or not. All this data is going to be coming out at 10 a.m. So watch for volatility at that time. Besides that, once all the data is out around 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, things will cool off in terms of data. All the data will be very minor. The market's going to be getting ready for this. After the market closes today, we have Apple, Amazon, and Meta all announcing their earnings. This is going to be very important. It's going to cause some high volatility, so make sure you watch this very carefully. We'll watch and see if Apple causes anything big. Same thing with Amazon and Meta. And whatever they give us, it's going to cause a big move in the market. It could help the market continue to push, or it could cause the market to get rug pulled. So you want to be very careful once all these earnings come out. This morning we had Royal Caribbean Group come out. It basically jumped because of the fact that it has a strong wave season, if you want to go that route, for an upbeat outlook. So that's pretty good for them. Besides that, that's pretty much what's making up the headlines. So what's going on with SPY? SPY is trying to rebound just a bit as the dollar is trying to drop. But like I said earlier, watch the 200 EMA on the 5 minutes time frame. If we break that, our next target is going to be up to about 486.5. But we'll have to see if we could try to break above that as well, because we could see a rejection. You want to be very, very careful, right? We had this very, very weak close. We were very oversold, so the market's trying to rebound. But watch the 200 EMA. Do we break this or do we reject off this? This is going to be a very, very big test on the 5 minutes time frame. The 4 hour is showing SPY could try to get closer to about this 487 area, but then we have some tight resistance again. We could reject off that and make our way back down. So you still want to be very, very careful. On the excuse me, guys, I apologize. On the daily time frame, SPY is still looking very weak. So if it does rebound, this could just be a very temporary small rebound before we continue lower. So be very careful, and then we'll have to see how Apple, Meta, and the other stocks affect our earnings. All right. So for SPY, I would say watch resistance at this 485.7 area, which is the 200 EMA, followed by 487 above that. If we do break that and watch and see if we get a rejection, we could reject and make our way right back down. We have a gap that's below, not to mention the fact that the market still looks very weak from a technical standpoint, so you want to be very, very careful. As far as Tesla goes, Tesla has attempted to rebound a bit. I was saying in my previous video that 190 should be expected again. That's where we got to, but now Tesla's starting to reject. So we have this gap below at 188 to fill. We might see Tesla push again with the market, but don't forget that we have some tight resistance approaching on Tesla as well. Looking at the 5 minutes time frame, Tesla is basically approaching 190 as key resistance at the 50 EMA. So I'll be watching that very, very carefully just to see how it goes there. And then don't forget that 193 is the next level. That's the 200 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame. So we'll be watching basically 190. If we break this, our next target could be 193. But watch resistance up there to see if we get another rejection or not at one of those two levels. For support, we have 187.8, followed by 186, 184, and 182. I believe that Tesla's going to try to pop a little bit. Then it's going to make its way back down as time goes on. So the 188 area might sink a little bit lower and just trade sideways from that point on. I don't think it's going to crash extremely hard. I think it'll just kind of like pop and then drop and then trade sideways within this range. And then I think that the big earnings coming out from big tech earnings is going to have a bigger effect for Tesla. And the same thing can be said about the QQQ and the others. For the triple Q, I just want to mention that this is trying to rebound as well. We're barely testing 420. We're going to be watching this resistance at 420 and then 421 above that. If we break this, watch for 422.5. I believe it could push a little higher. We're going to be watching this 420 resistance and 421, and we might get a rejection back down to fill this gap. We have a gap to fill down here at 418. So look for a pop and then a drop and then sideways price action, and then we'll have to see how the tech earnings affect it. So I could see it push a little bit higher, then get a rejection and make its way back down. Nvidia is just trading sideways right now, but we do have this big gap below. So I think that although Nvidia could attempt to uptrend a little bit, we might pop a little bit, grab liquidity at 625, make our way back down to fill this gap below at 616. And I think that it's just going to shop in this range right here, intraday price action, this range. Let's look for a pop and drop and then sideways price action after that. I'll be watching that very carefully. We'll see how this accumulation ends up panning out. We could be attempting to form kind of like a cup and handle, but I think that first it might pop and then drop and see some sideways price action. So I'm anticipating for Nvidia. I think we have a gap to fill below, so I'll be watching that as well, and then we'll see if Nvidia could bounce later on. But look for a little pop and drop and sideways price action for now. Last but not least, for Apple stock. Apple's still looking a little bit weak, but we have earnings coming out, so I think that Apple's going to have a big effect on the market. Apple might grab liquidity at 185.5 and reject, make its way back down to 184.25, back up, and just trade sideways. I see a very sideways day. I think it's just going to wait for earnings. And then once its earnings come out after market close, we're going to be looking for a much bigger move, which is going to shake the markets. So that being said, make sure you watch your levels very carefully. We'll see what happens to all the different charts out there. The market's attempting to rebound a bit, but make sure you watch resistance because we could still reject. So be careful, guys. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.